All right, let's talk some more technology. Marc Segal is on with us with Yutraffic FUSION. And Marc is the product manager, senior traffic engineer at Yunex Traffic. And Marc, I want to welcome you to the show. You are live across North America. Welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Nice to have you on board as we get started. And a little background about you, and no pun intended, Yunex Traffic. You are the product manager, senior traffic engineer. What do you guys do? Welcome.
Gotcha. So thank you for your time today. And I'm a traffic engineer by trade and have worked in the product space, a company called Yunex Traffic. We were formerly known as Siemens, if you've heard of Siemens. So we designed the computers that power traffic lights, and then I manage one of the products called our signal performance measures. So it ingests all of that detector data that we get to optimize the traffic lights. And then the other product that I'm working on that I think will be interesting for truckers is our new adaptive system called Fusion. So that's a product that was co-developed with the Transport for London and our Yunex Traffic UK group, and we recently deployed our first intersections in North America 2 months ago.
Okay, absolutely. And it sounds like very exciting. You rolled it out first overseas, and then here, it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly. And I guess the first question would be, why roll it out overseas? What would that be?
Well, we are a German-based company. We have a major presence in the UK, and this specific initiative, Fusion, was co-developed with Transport for London. So Transport for London operates, I think, over 4,000 signals across the city of London. And so they wanted to design a system to optimize lights there. But, traffic lights, they can turn green, amber, and red, but the technology behind them is vastly different. So it takes a lot of design work to be able to apply that technology across multiple continents.
Okay, absolutely. So you got a lot of data. In other words, when you look at it overall to look at and to maybe update, change, that kind of a thing. And who is the product meant to benefit? So this would benefit many in the trucking industry as an example, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all operate on our roadways, whether we're walking, driving, or biking. And then obviously our goods, I think 70% of our goods in the U.S. are on a truck at some point. So it's incredibly important that we can have a traffic light system that can optimize that. And so when we think of truckers, their value of travel time is much different than just a normal driving citizen, because there's a lot at stake for them to get to A to B at a quick amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking that, involving the process of signal lights, that if they are more managed, more regulatory controlled, this is going to cut down on idling at stoplights and things like that. Sounds like it might be better for the environmental side on that.
Exactly. I mean, when we're idling, we're releasing carbon monoxide, particulate matter, a bunch of carcinogens, and that costs us time and money as well. And you think about the major cost in trucking and logistics, and that's the fuel aspect of it. And so with being able to wait less or being able to not have to stop and go is incredibly important. So there's a number of different tools that traffic engineers can deploy. So it's creating a green band throughout a corridor. So that's when a vehicle is operating at a set speed, you're going to ensure that you hit that green light at the next time. But then there's also what's called green light observation signal speed authority. I think it stands for GLOSA, but essentially it's a device in your truck that will tell you to travel at a proper speed to hit that green light at a set time.
My golly, absolutely. And this would get down to, with all of that technology you're describing there, that not only helps the environmental side, but also helps with fuel efficiency. Correct or not? I mean, you're sitting there long enough, that's money going up the stack, right? That's a direct benefit right to the bottom line, it sounds like, with Fusion.
Absolutely. And, sometimes a trucker wants to get to a certain destination at 2:30 and not a second before, a second after. And so it's really important to have that granularity of data. And so we design what's called onboard units. And so that's a physical unit that is within the truck. And if a traffic light has what's called a roadside unit, it can communicate to that onboard unit via a protocol called NTCIP 1211. And that onboard unit can actually communicate to the traffic light, hey, I'm on time, you don't need to give me the green light, or hey, I'm running 5 minutes late, I need this green light now. And so I know you're based in the DFW area, and there's a 500 traffic signal deployment of this freight priority technology that is being deployed in the region.
Oh, my. Okay, absolutely. So this thing is really on the growth, if you will. I would think also that having the Yutraffic FUSION on board, say a shipper knows about this, that say the shipper is able to better gauge their work schedule to accommodate that driver that is on the way. Do you see this maybe as a big benefit for the other side of the aisle as far as the shippers and the consignees are concerned, if they've got that same data?
Absolutely. And what the traffic engineering industry, its goal is to make our system safer and more efficient. And so having that data, being able to have that data accessible is incredibly important. And part of what some of these councils of government and some of these grant projects are working towards is being able to give that data to researchers to make more mindful decisions, because it's incredibly important that traffic lights operate properly adjacent to port facilities, because time is money, and the freight industry is a good indicator of that.
Yeah, it doesn't wait for anybody. I mean, really, freight industry keeps on rolling. All right, I got to go to the break here in just a minute, but what are the plans now for North America? And then after the break, when we come back, let's talk about Ann Arbor, the city of Ann Arbor. But from an umbrella standpoint, what are the plans for this for North America overall?
Well, it's a great question, because right now only 1% of traffic lights utilize adaptive signal technology. And so adaptive signal technology has the ability to modify the green lengths, the cycles, so the time with which each approach gets served, and then the offsets, which are the time spacings relative to adjacent intersections. So when you're able to optimize those things and have a powerful algorithm, it's really limitless. So right now we're trying to grow in a lot of urban areas, but then a lot of strategic corridors where freight traffic is incredibly important, and a lot of this advanced technology would make some meaningful change to our truckers and to just the traveling public as well.
Okay, Marc, got a break. Marc Segal on board with Yutraffic FUSION. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this. He's in Austin, but they got real big plans for North America and on the global scale. We're going to get into more of that when we come back out of the break, but obligated to do the commercial side of all of this. And Ann Arbor, that's a big key discussion point we're going to get into when we come back on the other side. I'm Mark Willis, live across North America, Sirius XM 146. Marc Segal on board with us. Marc, thank you very much for joining me on the show. Let's get the website out there where folks can read up on this, reach out to you guys. What's the best way to find you?
UnexTraffic.com, YUNEX.
Okay, easy as that. And thank you very much. And Austin, you're in Austin right now. Love Austin. What a great city. What a great community. But, that I-35 that folks have got to traverse every single day. And then you get into, say, downtown Austin, and the rush hours are legendary, to say the very least. And any thoughts on Austin? Is it part of the portfolio that could maybe be incorporated into, incorporate what you're doing there? What are your thoughts on that? Cities like Austin, then we'll go into Ann Arbor. Any similarities between those? What do you think?
Both are very tech-forward towns. So the city of Austin has won a number of projects to introduce smart technology at intersections. And you're right, I-35 is a huge freight corridor. I used to work for the tolling authority in Austin. And so part of our work as consultants and researchers was trying to figure out, okay, once I-35 goes under construction, which just began work, how are we going to get trucks and other vehicles off of I-35 and diverting around to some of the other ring roads?
Yeah, it's an amazing city because, if you enter Austin at about 2 in the afternoon, 2 or 2:30, you're not going to get out of Austin on a good day, sometimes not until 4:30 or 5:30. It's legendary to say the very least. And when you guys are looking at cities to the technology, Ann Arbor was really top of that list, right? Ann Arbor, was that the first city in North America to adopt this technology? What did they do? How did you guys start conversations with Ann Arbor to get this going?
Absolutely. So Ann Arbor's been, a pioneer in transportation technology. If you look what the University of Michigan has done with UMTRI and their Connected and Autonomous Vehicle Research Program, it's really second to none. And so the great thing about a highly educated town like Ann Arbor is they have well-educated staff that really want to try new technology and push the needle. So for over 20 years, the city of Ann Arbor has been utilizing our adaptive signal technology, and that's really important when we're talking a town of 50,000 or so people, having to get ready for a game day at the Big House and welcome in over 150,000 people. So it really requires coordination with law enforcement, the traffic management center, and everybody to work hand in hand. So for 20 years, our adaptive system has been in operation there, and it's allowed the city of Ann Arbor to effectively handle the influx of almost 3 times the amount of population. Wow. So it's a perfect candidate for us to really deploy this new technology because they've had so much experience with advanced transportation technology.
Yeah, and a lot of this has its core, correct in that, in European cities, where they've also shown some pretty big improvements, right, as compared with the conventional traffic flow. What do you say to that? What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, so European cities are much more adept into embracing adaptive signal technology than U.S. cities. So whether it's the funding or the familiarity with this type of system, but we're in the city of London, we're in a number of cities in Germany, and deploying out through the rest of the United Kingdom. So traffic signals, as I said before, it's green, amber, red, but the technology in the cabinet can vary between intersection to intersection, and then also the communication protocols can vary from country to country. So it took a lot of mindful programming from our developers to really find a system that can work across the pond.
And just got a question in, and it's a really good one. Somebody wants to know that how does the system work when it comes to like emergency vehicles? Think fire, police, first responders, ambulances, that kind of a thing. Will they also be able to control the traffic signals there, maybe with a device in their vehicle that maybe to speed up the traffic to help them get to where they need to go, to tend to maybe a critical care need patient? Any thoughts on that with personnel, law enforcement, and fire?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So that technology is called preemption. So typically that is a device that is in the vehicle, but then our onboard units now can handle that preemption as well. So with our adaptive system, our algorithm is working to optimize the entire city network. But then when there is a preemption call from an ambulance or a police officer, our system essentially releases control, and that priority request gets served as that call of the vehicle goes through, and then the signal continues to operate. So preemption can be a railroad preempt as well, but it could also be freight priority, and that's kind of the benefit that we have. And one of the interesting use cases that we were able to deploy in Ann Arbor is we deployed our system right outside of the maintenance facility. So we had a lot of trucks that wanted to get to their destination for work, and so we were able to model that approach differently as trucks, and we were able to increase the priority for trucks to get served. And what we've seen is a lot of positive feedback where those truckers aren't having to wait to get to where they need to go. And again, time is money.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I would think this would be a big benefit around the ports, like the infrastructure, Port Houston, LA, Long Beach, that kind of a thing. Would they see a benefit in this trucking side? with this kind of technology on the ports?
Absolutely. So we work hand in hand with the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority, called SIA, out of Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And so we gave them a proposal out of the Port of Tampa Bay because a lot of those trucks need to exit the port facility as quick as possible. And so being able to minimize the idling is incredibly important.
Yeah, you got to be excited about this, right? I mean, what great technology here. It seems like, years gone by, it seemed like you were waiting forever and 2 days for like a traffic light to change. Man, you burn fuel. You are creating pollution. And also, I got to think probably the icing on top of the cake with a cherry is going to be the frustration level goes way down. Correct? I mean, everybody's been through that. You seem like you just sit and you sit and you sit some more through what could be like maybe a 2 to 3 minute traffic light. Could this help maybe lower blood pressure? Maybe there's a medical benefit to this as well, right? You guys thought about that?
Absolutely. And no one likes waiting at traffic lights. I mean, let's be honest, especially when you're seeing the opposing street completely empty. And so our technology is really designed to optimize that intersection. But there's a really interesting phenomenon called quote-unquote car brain. And so essentially people, when they're in a 2-ton metal box, or for our truckers, however many tons they're carrying, you have a different perspective on the people around you that if you weren't inside that metal box, you want to be cursing them off just because they were trying to get in front of you. So it's something that's been well studied from a psychology perspective, but Americans are impatient. No one wants to wait at lights, and so we get it, and so that's part of our goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You could tell somebody's really pissed off looking over at their vehicle, and you see them with their head down, they're mumbling, and it's kind of like, okay, don't go there. But I see it. You see it, I'm sure, in Austin quite a bit with everything going on. All right, thank you, sir. Got to get ready to wrap it up. I got 2 minutes, and going to close off the interview. And thank you very much for joining us. Marc Segal on with Yutraffic FUSION. And Marc, let's get your website out there one more time where folks can read up on this and maybe reach out. Where can they go?
Yeah, UnexTraffic.com, where a trucker can purchase an onboard unit. And thank you to all the truckers that help deliver our goods safely. We appreciate you.